All right, I think we're on. Oh, I'm going to take my mask off this time because last time you can't see me. Hi, everyone. Michelle Gramolia, President and CEO of Woodland Pond, for those that don't know me. I know we have actually quite a few new residents, believe it or not. Several have moved in over the last couple of months, and we're going to get to know you, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to actually go last so that my crew can kind of get up and update you on some things. Do you want to start us off, Sarah? Okay. Up next is Sarah Hall, our Director of Resident Services.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see you, sort of. So I just wanted to encourage everyone to please feel free to call me, come and see me. Let me know if you have questions, concerns, issues that you could use my support with. I definitely want to hear from you. So please stop by or give me a call. And today I began contacting people to schedule my annual visits, which I'm really looking forward to. And the annual visits are an opportunity for me to get to know you better, for you to get to know me, and for us to just check in with each other to see how you're doing, see if there's anything that you could use any support with, and so forth. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all to do those. And starting this week, for the next 3 weeks, my schedule is going to be a little bit different. I'll be in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I will be off on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So again, please feel free to stop by and see me and give me a call. Looking forward to it. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I don't know where to look. I guess there. That's where I'm looking. Hi. I too have not seen many of you in a long time. We've been locked up in the health center, but for all the right reasons, keeping everyone and our most vulnerable as safe as possible during this time. You've probably read we've been surveyed several times now for infection control surveys and some other things, and we're continuing to do really well in that area thanks to a lot of hard work from a lot of people. So that's basically what's been occupying our time. Also of note, Catalina Ingram, our longtime social worker for over 5 years on primarily the skilled nursing unit. She is leaving for all great reasons. She has found a position for growth as her skills have enhanced. So her last day is actually Friday. We are in the interviewing process. We have some good promising candidates that I've been meeting with. But other than that, thank you for your patience with all the obstacles and difficulties in visiting your loved ones in the health center. We're trying to make that as humane as possible. If anyone does have any questions on the many changing regulations or the strictness of the regulations or how we can possibly make something happen for your loved one, I'm happy to take all those calls. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bridget Blum, Director of Human Resources. I just wanted to very quickly remind the residents who are listening on behalf of the Resident Appreciation Committee. I feel like I'm sort of doing a shameless plug for them each time we talk, but I know they greatly appreciate the gentle reminder that they are still collecting funds for the Resident Appreciation Fund, which does get divvied up and given historically each year to our hourly employees. So again, on behalf of that committee, they do really appreciate the residents who have already made contributions and who are planning to make contributions. The deadline for those is coming very soon. The best person to speak to would either be Betsy Haight or Ray Smith on any questions with regard to that committee and to the fund. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Ronnie Licata, Dining Director. I'm just going to talk pretty briefly, and I have Mike here. I thought you guys might want to see him and hear what he has to say. I want to report that we, if many of you do know, and those that don't know, we did take the plexiglass off the tables in the dining room, and we are getting rave reviews that that is working a lot better. We have capability of seating up to 40 people for our 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock seating right now. And the other thing that I do want to report is that dinner service is on its way. Michelle and I are finalizing all the details for that program, and you should see something this week, or early next week on all of the details for that. It's pretty comprehensive, and I am going to help you all out by preparing a monthly calendar that'll denote days and what you can do and when you can't, what can happen at one day. But more to come. Keep your eyes out on communication, and I'm going to pass it off to Mike. He just wants to say hello and say a couple words. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Mike Bukowski, Executive Chef for you guys. Just to, I guess, touch on what Ronnie had talked about, we are expanding our capabilities for seating all of you, and we hope that you'll take advantage of that. We love to see you. It's been nice to see some folks that have been venturing out and making the trip down. We are on the verge of doing a couple different things, different times, some dinner service like Ronnie mentioned. So it's very exciting. A lot of things coming up very quickly. So hopefully we'll see you, more of you. The ones we've been seeing, we see consistently. Let's get a few new folks down. Come on, come say hello to Ronnie and Mike and the rest of us. And we're looking forward to seeing even more of you as the weeks go by.
All right, so here I am again, Michelle Grimolia, the CEO here at Woodland Pond, for anybody that joined late. Thank you to all my directors for your participation. I would like to tell the residents that November is going to be a very exciting month at Woodland Pond, because we are going to be trying to bring almost everything back in person. This week, I have spent an extensive amount of time with Ronnie and her team figuring out how we get the breakfast club back together, happy hour back together, dinner back on, talking about Thanksgiving. I have spent extensive time with Gretchen, Sarah, Jason, Kim to figure out the protocols for in-person fitness classes. In-person meetings here in the PAC, bringing back some of our outside instructors. And I want to mention that all of this is with a great amount of thought and planning. Nothing is going to look exactly as it did in February, because we do have to be very conscientious of space limitation. We've established what we think is going to work. And in addition to the dining memo that will come out next week, you will get other information from me next week, sort of in anticipation of your November calendar. I likely will be recording a weekly update regarding what you can expect, because it is going to be very, very important as we go into November, December, January, that we remember that as much as we all want to come and do and be together, we are going to have limits to things. The PAC, it will be limited to a certain number of people per fitness class and per certain number of people per event. And we're going to try it one way at first. And if it doesn't work, we're going to reverse course. And that is what we are committed to. We are committed to safety, and we're committed to being responsive, while at the same time allowing some activity back at the community. I want to focus on letting you know that our focus is on you as the residents. So when we talk about what different types of things are going to be reopening compared to what's open now and what we're offering, you're going to be hearing a great focus on resident activity. I will talk in a moment and just reiterate to you the different types of visiting that we have available for your loved ones. But you're going to really see a great emphasis from me and our team on you, and how do we allow you as residents to see each other, feel the life of the community again, see your neighbors, feel like you're doing something that's acceptable and approved and okay, while at the same time knowing that we're trying to do it in as safe a way as possible. One example is today we resumed shopping trips into New Paltz. I got a preliminary report from Jim, the driver, on my way in that it seems to be going well. And obviously that's taking into account that we can only have a certain number of people on each, vehicle, and, things have to be safely distanced. That's going to be a recurring theme. We're going to have limits to the number of people that can participate. We're going to have things safely distanced, and you are going to hear us reiterating these things to you. So in the event, for example, that we do open back up the dining room to allow for breakfast club type things, you grab a coffee from the pub, you go in to sit and have breakfast with your friends. We are going to enforce the spacing of the seating. So we've got the dining room set in a way right now that there's seats at 4 corners of 4 large tables. We will be enforcing that. And we're going to ask you, we're going to have reminders to say, please don't move the chairs. But if we see it, we're going to have to step in and say, can you please just scoot your chair? That's going to be something that's going to continue to happen. And part of that comes from the fact that numbers of you have come to me and really to the concierge over the last few weeks and said, I'm really feeling overwhelmed with all of the changes. I can't keep the things straight. I can't remember. So we're going to help remind you. And we're not singling anyone out. It's because if we're going to have things that are different than they were before, we don't expect you to remember all the changes. That's what we're here for. We're here to support that, and we're going to do that for you. You are going to see expanded hall monitor hours in the main area, which will expand mailroom hours inherently. And that's because we're going to need additional monitoring, as I said, for some of the new activities that are going to happen in the dining room. All of these things are slated to start in November, with the exception of 2 things. Gretchen and Sarah and I will get information out about this before the end of this week, most likely. But Tuesday afternoon, I don't know what time. Do you by chance, Marcia Gates? Hey, Gretch. Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m., we are going to have a live musical performance by Marcia Gates and her ensemble. She's a flautist, right? Plays flute. A former resident's daughter, and she's done performances here with her musical ensemble for years. We've had the event on the calendar for a couple weeks now, but today we determined that we are going to be opening that event with signups, and we're not taking signups yet. We'll get the information out to allow a limited number of people actually sit in the PAC and watch the event. And of course, the rest of it will be live streamed. Same thing for the Resident Association meeting on Wednesday. So please look for these instructions. There are no signups being taken yet, but we will open those up for signups, and we are going to start letting you come in to the PAC and see things and feel things and so forth. I have to ask, as we go through this, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, and I know it's going to be annoying, we created a tool for you to help you document who you've had contact with. If you have not gotten a copy of the contact tracing log that we created, you should get one from the concierge, because it really is one of the only ways that you are going to be able to feel confident that you have identified who you have had contact with. And the reason that that is so crucial is because when we have a case of COVID on campus, which, knock on wood, hopefully will not be anytime soon, the first thing we are going to say to everyone is, who did you have contact with in the last 14 days? And what was the contact? We did a drill. It was sort of a miserable failure. I attempted it myself. I have not been tracing who I have seen or been with, and there is absolutely no way without a tracing log or some kind of a tool on my phone or using my calendar that I would be able to tell you who I had interactions with in the last 14 days. But that is the very first step that the county and state health department will ask of us to ask of you if we have a case on campus. So please, trace your contacts. You just need to know who you were with, not passing in the hallway, but who you were in a meeting with, who you were in a vehicle with, those kinds of things. We're going to get an update out about voting. If you have not signed up with the concierge about your interest to vote in person early on the 28th, you need to let them know, because we're putting a busing schedule together for that. We do expect the County Board of Elections to drop off the remaining absentee ballots here in the next week. And we are making trips to bring those back to the Board of Elections in person once they're completed. So very important to get the vote out. And I think that's it in terms of those kinds of things. Before I move on to the next topic, I just want to mention, actually, I'll just move on to the next topic. So all of you should have received something that looks like this, a yellow sheet of paper, okay? This yellow sheet of paper, which was dated October 5th, is sort of the key to a lot of the things that are going on right now and a lot of the questions that you're asking of concierge and of me and of Sarah and Mary Jo and the staff. So the front of it is independent living options, visiting options, and the back is quarantine rules. So currently we are offering you 4 types of visits with people from outside of Woodland Pond. Those 4 types of visits are as follows. You may visit with your family in your cottage or apartment home, subject to safety protocols, and they may be inside, and you may safely distanced have a meal, you may hug them with a mask on, and so forth. But those do require an advanced COVID test. And that COVID test is required of all members of your party that come to your home. Those people can visit you for up to 8 hours. There's no plexiglass involved because you'll be inside your own home. You can eat and drink if you're safely distanced. You can have up to 4 people, and the concierge has safety tips on that. So if you want to have a real visit, you can do that. You just have to make sure that your visitors have had a COVID test with a negative result and the test was taken within 7 days prior to the visit. You don't want to go through all that, but you still want to see your family inside somewhere. You can sign up with the concierge and you can have a visit in the art studio. 45-minute visit limit. There is plexiglass involved. No COVID test is required. And up to 2 people may attend that visit. Again, there's safety information at the concierge desk. We're still currently offering you the ability to meet with non-Woodland Pond residents outdoors here on campus. That will end, obviously, once it starts to get cold. But if you wanted to have a family member or loved one, up to 2 people at a time, scheduled through the concierge, you could do so. Your guest would come to the concierge. They do not have to have a COVID test if you're going to be meeting with them outside. They can visit with you anywhere outdoors on campus, including on your own patio or balcony, but you should not be inside your apartment or cottage at all. In that case, other than for them to walk through your cottage or apartment to go outdoors, and you must maintain 6 feet distance, no eating or drinking. And then Ronnie is offering private dinner parties to folks. Again, you don't need a COVID test for that because there is safe distancing. There's plenty of air circulation. You do need to make that reservation through the hostess station. We've had a few people that have taken advantage of that, but that's a nice option. You can have up to 8 total people at a private dinner party. Some of you have asked me, why can't I visit with my Woodland Pond neighbor outside like I can with my family? And you can. You've been able to for months at this point. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. Your Woodland Pond neighbor, up to 2 people from the same household, can come visit you outdoors at your home. Again, subject to the same rules, fully masked, no eating or drinking. So you're certainly welcome to have your neighbor over. Just scoot through your apartment or cottage and go outside, or find a place to sit outside and visit with them. That's absolutely welcome and encouraged. That's the current visit options. If you have questions, you can ask the concierge. In terms of the other side of the sheet, this talks about the quarantining rules. A lot of people have asked questions about that. So I want to just kind of go through this. For all of the visit types that I just described, which are all approved visit types, there is no 14-day quarantine required. Okay? If you have a visit other than that, and you have sort of a non-sanctioned visit or a type that doesn't fit into the categories that I just described, you do have to quarantine for 14 days or test out after 5 days. But if you do any of the ones on the front of that sheet, you're good. You do not need to quarantine. You do need to monitor your symptoms and signs of illness for 14 days, and you should take your temperature twice a day for 14 days. A trip to the hospital or the emergency room, you do need to quarantine for 14 days following that trip. You always have the alternative. If you do get placed under quarantine, you always have the alternative of after 5 days, we can arrange for a COVID test for you, either here on campus, if it's a Monday morning at 8, or at First Care. And with a negative test result, you can test out of your quarantine sooner than 14 days. But if you go to the hospital or the emergency room for any reason, you will need to quarantine for 14 days or test out negative after 5 days. Mary Jo can help you with coordinating that. If you take a trip to the store, doctor's office, bank, post office, etc., off campus, you do not need to quarantine for 14 days. You do need to monitor your signs and symptoms, and we recommend taking your temperature for 14 days afterwards. If you ride in a vehicle or take someone in your car that is not a Woodland Pond employee, a Woodland Pond approved caregiver, or your significant other, you will need to quarantine for 14 days. Riding in a passenger vehicle is one of the riskiest activities that any of us can undertake because it is simply very close proximity. The CDC has come out with copious guidance on the fact that vehicles are inherently gross. People sneeze in there, everything has germs on it. People respirate in the car. They're icky. And in order to adequately clean and sanitize your vehicle such that there wouldn't be a concern about contaminated surfaces, you would be cleaning it and disinfecting it continually. Combine that with the fact that you're certainly within 6 feet proximity, even if you're wearing a mask, and now the windows are most likely closed. It's not a safe form of transport. So if you ride on the Woodland Pond bus, you're good. If you ride with an approved caregiver because they're being tested here every week, you're good. If you're riding just with your significant other, you're good. But if you ride with anybody else, then you are going to need to quarantine for 14 days or test negative after 5. If you have questions on this, you can talk to me or Mary Jo or the concierge. As to all of these things, I have asked that Mary Jo take the lead on helping have the conversations with each of you about the need to quarantine. There have been a couple of contentious incidents at the concierge when the concierge has become aware of someone that needs to quarantine. And I have asked that Mary Jo have those conversations with the residents rather than the concierge, because I know that there's questions at the resident level, and nobody likes to find out as a surprise that what they just did is going to require quarantine. So Mary Jo is best to really have that conversation and explain from a policy and safety perspective why it's necessary. Certainly Sarah and I will have those conversations as well. We're trying to sort of keep the stress off the concierge desk and the staff. But really, what I ask of you is please keep this paper handy and refer to it. It's really in a simplified format. I did update it yesterday because I realized that on the October 5th version, I have the same heading on both sides, which makes it obviously confusing. So I will reissue this using a different color piece of paper, but this graph is going to be very helpful for you. You should hang it up and look at it if you have questions. Ronnie's going to do the same thing with the dining calendar because there will be some questions there as well. The last thing I just wanted to mention is that I have pretty significant concerns about the well-being of our independent living residents and our assisted living residents and our skilled nursing residents, but right now focusing on the independent living folks. In working with Philip and Bridget and Sarah, we have determined that for a period of time, we are going to be adding a sort of a check-in layer with one of our RNs from, she's typically works in skilled nursing, but for years she worked in the memory care unit. Her name is Angel. You may have seen her. She does the COVID clinic here in independent living on Tuesdays all day long. So a number of you may have seen her, or your caregivers may have seen her. She's going to help Sarah and MJ and I check in on you. We've got a number of folks that have really become quite isolated during COVID, which we understand. There's a great amount of fear and uncertainty, but we don't want to see any residents needing help that we haven't identified. So while Mary Jo will stay in her same role and really helping you with incidents and issues as they arise, and Sarah will be meeting with you to do, you know, the deep sort of analytical annual visits, Angel on Tuesdays and Thursdays is going to start to do sort of quick, maybe not quick, but, you know, briefer, not as comprehensive visits as what Sarah is doing, kind of both from a psychosocial perspective, but also she brings her RN so she can kind of help us figure out if you could benefit from additional support. I'm going to be putting more information about this out in the Chanticleer. We really just kind of made these, confirm these details today. But that's going to be an additional service that we're going to provide to all of you to help support and understand how you're all doing. We're going to focus on the folks that we have the greatest concerns about first. So you may not all meet Angel right away, but she's lovely and she's very chatty. And I think that you'll all like her. And as of right now, we're planning on keeping this going until it's not needed anymore, or until there's a resource issue with skilled nursing. So you should look out for that. And please continue to bring me any of your concerns that you have about yourself or your neighbors. Same with Sarah and Mary Jo. And we look forward to these next steps because it's going to be, you know, pretty exciting around here in the next couple weeks. Thanks, everyone. Bye.